Alright, here's the next part of this video. We're going to replace that mainspring. Here's how the mainspring comes from the factory. It's in this little wrapped up part that makes it easy. You don't have to unwind it, just blow it dry. Blow off any dust that may be on there. Here's our barrel ready to go. And this should just lay right in there and fit inside the barrel. And then you can, if you take a look there, it's sitting flush, and just push the mainspring right into the barrel. Nothing to it, we hope. I come around the edges with a screwdriver just to make sure everything is seated. And off comes the little holder that it came with. Just make sure that your orientation is correct, the way that's turning. And there you have it. Your mainspring is installed. I'm going to come around here, make sure things are seated. I'm just going around the edge. Put a little pressure on that. And there you have it. And before we put in the top part of that, the cap, I don't know what it's called, we have to put the arbor in. And before we do that, I'm going to lubricate the inside of that with a little bit of D5. I'm going to come around here to the inside and put a smear of D5 right there. And while we're at it, we'll do the top part with some D5 as well. I don't know what that cap is called. I'm sure somebody would know. It's just a smear, not a lot. Let's put that over here. Okay. The arbor is going to go next. I guess it's called a winding arbor. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. So here we have our mainspring and the barrel. The arbor is going to go in this orientation, like so. Let's see, different tweezers. How are we going to show you this? It just snaps in. It just goes in. And to make sure that it's engaged, the little cleat there engages that. I like to take a pair of pliers and just rotate that around until it snaps in, and you'll see it snap in. Let's see, where are we? You can see, hang on, let's focus. When I turn that, you can see the spring winding up, so it's engaged. So that's a good thing. We have that engaged. Next is our cap, I guess you would call it. This little guy, it's got some lubrication on it, some 8200. And that'll just press together with your fingers. Um, might have to lean on it a bit, but you want to get that. You want to get that so it's nice and flat and flush on that cap, and that makes sure that the mainspring is seated in the barrel. So that does two things: make sure it's seated, make sure it's flush. I know there's tools available where it allows you to put that into an assembly, put a lid on it, and then snap it down. Well, I don't have that luxury. I have the luxury of going digital, just using my fingers. So there you have it. Now that that's assembled, we can put it back into the movement, which is right here. Let's pull back a bit. And we haven't really disturbed anything. We do have a lid on it. There's a bit of D5. We're going to put D5 on that pin, or not pin, what do you call that? The jewel. We're just going to put a little tiny smear of D5 on that. Let's get in the shot. Okay. And that's all there is to it, as far as that goes. Our mainspring barrel drops in. It won't turn because we have the, we have the whole watch assembled. But you can nudge it back and forth to make sure it's engaged with those corresponding wheels. And it is. And we're going to do just a smear of 8200 here before we put our bridge on. Before we do the bridge, we want to be mindful of a few things. Mostly the hacking lever. Make sure that's positioned and seated and not out of place. We're going to lay that bridge right across there. Like so. And once everything's captured, we will be good to go. May have to nudge this wheel a bit. Make sure it's engaged. It appears to be. Okay. Simple. Let's put a screw in. We're not going to mount this up tight yet. We're going to do one screw in the center. Where are we? There we are. One screw in the center. My screwdriver is a little large. Let's go to the next smallest. That's not going to do it. Here we go. Okay, I just barely have that seated. You got a little fuzz right there. We'll go over this with some Rotico later. Make sure we pick up any dust we may have picked up. Here's our second screw. And before we do a full wind, we're going to test to make sure the hacking mechanism is working. It didn't appear to have disturbed it. So we should be good, but anything can go wrong. If anything can go wrong, it will. especially with when I'm involved. Alright, coming around here. Will this cure this wash? I don't know. We're going to find out. Okay. Let's unscrew the crown. Check our winding. Yep, it's winding. Okay. Coming out to set the hands. Our balance does not move, so the hacking lever is working. And just as I release it, it does give a little wobble. There's a little bit of wiggle there. So that's good. That's a good sign. Let's tighten those screws up. Okay, 3 screws are tight. Next is the, what do you call this? Is this the ratchet wheel? I would think it is, if I can get a hold of it. Give that a dusting. Everything's been under glass, so it should be okay. Should be. Let's pull that out of the way. That wheel. We're going to pull that out of the way. There we go. That makes sure I got it seated. And our mounting screw for that. Fairly simple, I would think. I can feel tension on the mainspring, so that's a good sign. I'm going to come in here and hit this with a little rotico. We got some possible dust. Okay, and then we're going to lock that in. Let's get a piece of pegwood here. Okay, where do we want to come in to lock that in? That might work. A little bit of pegwood, hold it steady. Keep it from turning. Tighten that up. A little bit of rotico here and there. Preventative maintenance, whatever you want to call that. So, we have the main spring installed. Let's focus. Put a few winds into it, and our ballad starts ticking. Do we have enough to bring our amplitude up and regulate this? I don't know. We're going to find out. Can't tell just by looking at it. I'm going to wind this up as far as it'll go till I feel okay, it's slipping. And our next step is going to be to put in the winder, the automatic winder. Okay, where is that going to go? Let's get this oriented right. I believe that's where that's going. I could be wrong. Alright, I'm not even in the shot. Let's get in the shot, people. Come on. You're trying to show somebody what you're doing and you're not even in the shot. So let's get it together. Right? Right. Let's get in the shot better. All right. Now we can see, we can test that. How does it move? Does it wind? Yes, it does. It's a little off center for some reason. Let's fix that. Okay. Two black screws. We'll mount that up. Ah, boy. Of course I gotta drop one. That's okay. We found it. There's one screw. I'm not seating that completely. Here's our second mounting screw. Two screws to hold that in place. Very slick. Very nice. Okay. They're not tight. I want to get a look at the action. Make sure it is winding. If you take a look at this gear right around there, you'll see that it is winding. You'll see that it is turning, regardless of which direction I turn the rotor. It is winding the watch, the mainspring, so that's a good sign. That is definitely a good sign. Our screws are in. We just have to lock them down. Let's get in the shot. Here's our second one. Locked in. Let's double check. Our winding mechanism is operating. So there you have it. Changing a mainspring on the ETA 2824 while still in the case after doing a service. And next we're going to see how this is performing. So stay tuned.